My name is Jaden with Ink and Bones, and today we're going to be going through the time lapse of the pencils for page 12 of my creator-owned Halloween comic book. Let's get drawn. Alright, so page 12 in the comic book, all penciled up. At this point, they have gone and done all their trick-or-treating. It's the end of the night. Where we are right now, the starting line for the book is there the two of them sat, counting their bags full of winnings. Patty and Jack both could not stop their grinning. They were adding up candy, subtracting, dividing. Then off in the distance, they heard a kid crying. So in this page right here, they are sitting in the park and counting up their stash, and then they hear a kid crying, so then they go off to investigate. And the original thumbnail, or the original layout of this page, was essentially the same as what it ended up to be, but I kind of spookified it up. I realized that, yes, they're in a park, and it looked like a park. The original layout, it looked fine, but it is a Halloween comic book. None of this is real, so I did want to kind of spruce it up a bit in regards to how spooky it should look. And what actually gave me the idea was my wife and I went to Disneyland for Halloween, and throughout the whole park, mainly near the Haunted Mansion, all the trees were decorated. They all had lights going around them. Everywhere you looked felt like Halloween, so I really wanted to add that to the book. So from here on out, there's going to be jack-o'-lanterns everywhere. If there's any trees that are front and center, they are going to have orange lights wrapped around them. Just really Halloween Town it up, essentially. The idea of the story is Patty thinks she's a little scarier than Jack, so she can win more candy on Halloween. They go into a contest to see who can get the most candy, and then right now they're counting it up. And what I mainly wanted to focus on was adding a bit more of a spooky element to this. They wander into the misty, crooked-looking trees because they hear some kid crying. So then they go to investigate, and originally, speaking of Disney, upon getting closer to see what's the matter, they notice it's Timmy dressed as the Mad Hatter. I switched that because Mad Hatter doesn't scream Halloween to me as well, so I switched it up to a slasher. So they noticed it's Timmy dressed up as a slasher instead of a hatter. It still rhymes, it still goes with the rest of the rhyme scheme. And the goal always with, I guess, storyboarding or just visual storytelling is you always want to set the camera in interesting places. You never want to have like a straight on shot. And by straight on, I mean where someone is talking, like there's two people talking to each other in a scene and it looks like how I'm talking to you right now, where it's very set in the frame, or it's just like someone's on the right and then it cuts back to the other person and they're on the left. That's very boring. And even though technically if you look at the last shot, the two last shots were going up to the tree, it is technically a straight on shot, but it's a little bit more interesting. You got things in the foreground, you have the main focus and the thing in the background. It just gives you a little bit more of a perspective instead of just a very flat, boring looking image. It's still interesting to look at. You have the lights that are wrapped around the tree. They end up going through the grass and they're kind of spread out. Those are going towards our characters. They're kind of framing the panel essentially with their silhouette, which they won't be in full black silhouette, but they'll have like a nice rim light on them. And just setting up establishing shots it's your establishing shot. You're setting the tone of where these characters are. And in the previous page, these pages, they'll be side by side. It's not going to be like the page before this is, on the right side, and then when you turn it, it reveals this page. These ones, I believe, are right next to each other. So everything is established. You know where they are. We know how they got there. I show them walking. Everything is set up, so I can kind of go into the more intimate shots. Everything is very deliberate, especially when it comes to the visual storytelling of it, because the whole point of your job as a penciler, if I handed this page off to someone, they should kind of get the gist of what's going on. With no words on the page, would you know that they were sitting there doing their thing, they heard a sound, and then now they've investigated that sound. And I have little Timmy he's kind of hunkered over, and I have him with his mask is like lifted up on his head, and I gave him some coveralls like he's Michael Myers, but I think I'm gonna give him a Jason mask. It's just more Halloween instead of like a Mad Hatter. Without any words, would you be able to tell that all of that is going on? And the reason he's sad is because he got his candy stolen. So in the coming pages, we get to go on the hunt for the bullies, and I'm so stoked to get to that because I've had this story written, pretty much the complete finished version. I've had it fully written out since 2022, and here we are in November of 2025, and I'm just now getting, full steam ahead on it. And I'm at the level of illustrator that where I like looking at my work, and what's nice is whatever I see in my head, it goes on the page, which is a very nice place to be. It took me a very long time to get there. All right, so that is the page. That's page 12. So now let's go ahead and look at the finished product. The top panel is just kind of a cool, it's always just showing that it's night. If there wasn't that break between the panel, that almost looks like it's the moon in that sky of where they're sitting at that park bench. And man, I had such a hard time drawing their feet. Their feet were ridiculous. But there they are sitting. They got jack-o'-lanterns all over the place, which I also think is kind of weird because Jack's head is a jack-o'-lantern. So like, does he view all these jack-o'-lanterns in the grass as like decapitated friends? I don't know if that's the lore that I want to go with. I think he just is what he is. But I think about that every time I'm drawing a jack-o'-lantern that's not Jack's head. I wonder if they're related. So here on the bench, they hear the cries. They're looking back. Here they are investigating. We're walking up onto a tree. The crying sound is going to be coming from the other side of it. I'll illustrate that with some letters or something when it gets to that stage. And then sitting right there in the little nook of the tree, we got Timmy as the Hatter, or Timmy as the Slasher. Patty's kind of creeping around the side. Jack's just eating his lollipop, kind of giving a shit, kind of not. He's sitting looking over his shoulder, kind of, I remember my first beer sort of thing. But that is the page, sitting in the park counting their winnings. And then we get to meet Timmy, and then Timmy is going to introduce us to the adventure of the book. All right, well, that was the pencils for page 12 of the Halloween comic book, title pending. First thing I think of is Patty and Jack go trick-or-treating. I don't know. I feel like we can come up with something a little bit not so on the nose, a little bit more clever. Patty and Jack go trick-or-treating. It's a little bit more on the children's book side rather than the comic book side. Could just be like Batman and Robin, just called Patty and Jack, and then I can just do multiple book adventures with them. But we'll get to that when we get to that. As of right now, it is the Halloween comic book, and that was the pencils for page 12. And if you'd like to check out a big old Halloween poster that I did, go ahead and click this video here, or if you want to catch up on the other pages of pencils that I've done so far, up to this point in the book, go ahead and check out this video right here. That's all I got for you right now. Until lucky number 13, I'm very excited. Until then, I have been Jaden. This has been the Ink and Bones channel. You have been the shit. I'll see you next time.